my best friend and I married into the family, a family of traditional medicine practitioners. She married the elder son of the family, Robert. I married the younger son of the family, Michael. However, my best friend gave birth to 3 children with Robert, the elder son of the family. All 3 were medical geniuses. But I only gave birth to 1 daughter with Michael, the younger son of the family. This daughter was also an idiot who couldn't even do the simplest 1 plus 2. Michael, who cared deeply about appearances, was deeply embarrassed. Years later, at a medical conference I attended with my daughter, just because my daughter stammered out "Daddy," it made everyone burst into laughter. Humiliated, Michael angrily stabbed my daughter to death, and then beat me to death with a stick. When I opened my eyes again, Michael and I had both been reborn. At the scene of the family marriage alliance this time, Michael was the first to take my best friend's hand. "I like you. Will you marry me?" The family, a family of traditional Chinese medicine practitioners, hosted a banquet, inviting prominent figures from the medical field and elite families from a city. This was a public marriage alliance gathering. My family has been practicing medicine for 3 generations. Our private hospital had recently run into problems. I attended the banquet hoping to seek help from the family. Thinking of my experience with the marriage alliance in my past life, my eyes were full of bitterness. The 2 sons of the family stood at the front, surrounded by everyone. They looked energetic and ambitious. 2 socialites next to them couldn't help but whisper, "The younger son, Michael, has such a good demeanor. He seems like a really kind person. The elder son, Robert, is also very handsome, just a little aloof." "What do you mean a little aloof? You don't know how indifferent Robert is. I heard he's very skilled in medicine, but he won't treat anyone he doesn't like. Michael is different. He's easy to talk to. He treats every patient who seeks his help well. I think I'd want a husband as gentle as him. But I heard Michael is an illegitimate son." "What are you talking about, illegitimate son now? Hasn't he been recognized?" My best friend, Jenny, next to me, heard this and excitedly grabbed my hand. Her eyes were fixed on Michael in the crowd. When their eyes accidentally met, her face was full of shyness. She looked away, but I let out a mocking cold laugh. In my past life, I was also deceived by Michael's appearance. My grandfather, father, and brother all studied medicine, and I also followed the path of medicine. Even because of my exceptional talent, I became a well-known golden hand in a city. Because of my renowned talent and beautiful face, I was chosen by Michael to be his marriage alliance partner. It was also then that I found out my best friend Jenny liked Michael. But that night, she got dead drunk and accidentally slept with Robert. A month later, she became pregnant. She reluctantly married Robert. After getting married, Michael and I spent a wonderful time together. He was indeed, as everyone said, a very caring and kind person. At that time, I was delighted to have found a good husband, but I didn't expect this to be the root of my suffering in the latter half of my life. Not long after my best friend married Robert, she gave birth to 3 healthy sons in a row. My father-in-law couldn't stop smiling. He praised my best friend as a good daughter-in-law and gave her 900 million yuan. And I was always unable to get pregnant. Gradually, Michael changed. He started being impatient with me. He became easily angered and violent. He was very bothered by others saying he had no children. He said my body had problems. He forced me to drink countless traditional Chinese medicine concoctions. He jabbed me with needles countless times to make sure I could focus on getting pregnant. He forced me to quit my job at the hospital and stay at home. But I was a doctor myself. I hadn't gotten pregnant after such a long time. Couldn't I check my own body? He was clearly the one with the physical problem. For a full 10 years, I ate countless traditional Chinese medicine folk remedies, which ruined my health, but I still couldn't get pregnant. I couldn't take it anymore. I wanted to divorce Michael and let him have children with someone else. But he sneered, "I've put so much effort into you. You want a divorce with just a casual remark?" The reason I chose you as my marriage alliance partner in the first place was for your medical talent. Otherwise, do you think I would have taken a liking to you? I didn't expect you to be useless. What's the use of having great talent if you can't have children? Waste. I had a big fight with him and fainted. When I woke up, I found him sitting by my bed, smiling, and said I was pregnant. He seemed to have returned to normal, showing me great care and concern. 10 months later, I gave birth to a daughter. But the good times didn't last. My best friend's 3 children officially began studying traditional Chinese medicine and were praised by their teachers and family as medical geniuses. My father-in-law directly announced his retirement and let Robert take over most of the family's company assets. But my daughter couldn't even be taught the simple math of 1 plus 2. She was a slow-witted idiot. Michael was devastated. He cursed me for being useless and unable to give birth to a son, ordered me to leave with nothing, and kicked me out of the family. I didn't feel wronged. Instead, I felt relieved. I lived alone with my daughter. But at a medical conference, my daughter stammered out "Daddy" to him, and everyone laughed and teased him. Michael's face immediately turned red. He felt humiliated. That day, he broke into our home and stabbed my daughter to death. This idiot made me lose face. I used all my strength to push him away, wanting to take my daughter to the hospital to save her. But who knew Michael was completely insane? His face was contorted with rage. He attacked me from behind. Before I died, I hugged the small body tightly in my arms. My blood turned cold. I gradually lost consciousness. I didn't expect to be reborn, and even return to the day of the banquet. The overwhelming hatred made my fingers tremble. I looked coldly at Michael, but found him walking straight towards my best friend. My whole body trembled. I suddenly realized that he had also been reborn. My 2 sons usually focus on studying medicine. They're almost 30 and still not married. I can't even hold a grandson yet. Father pretended to be troubled. Everyone naturally understood. Today was the family marriage alliance banquet. Father wanted to choose marriage alliance partners. The elder son, Robert, was born to father's ex-wife. He had exceptional talent and was a renowned traditional Chinese medicine doctor in the medical community. The younger son, Michael, was born to father's current wife. He was said to be an illegitimate son born out of wedlock, but he had an excellent reputation and was recognized by everyone as a good-natured person. In his past life, Michael had already investigated the socialites attending the banquet. His medical talent was not as good as Robert's, and he was pampered and spoiled, not diligently practicing medicine. He wanted to have a smart child to compensate for his lack of medical skills. So, he had long intended to choose me as his marriage alliance partner. But in this life, he didn't even look at me. He walked directly to my best friend, and under everyone's surprised gaze, took her hand. "I like you. Will you marry me?" Everyone present was stunned, whispering who is her best friend. Although my best friend's family had some assets, they were not actually on the invitation list. She liked Michael and begged me to bring her in. At that time, I didn't think much of it, because marriage alliances were about matching families, so coming along would just be for the fun of it. Father frowned and asked Michael, "Have you thought this through?" Michael smiled and nodded. "Actually, I've liked Ms. Jenny for a long time. I'm taking this opportunity today to confess and propose to her." Saying this, he looked at my best friend affectionately. My best friend was overjoyed. Without any hesitation, she replied repeatedly, "I'm willing to marry you." At this moment, Michael seemed to glance at me inadvertently. The disdain, contempt, and disgust in that look almost overwhelmed me. I felt cold all over. Remembering the fear and hatred before I died in my past life, I clenched my fists, my fingernails digging hard into my palms. The icy pain stimulated my nerves. Just when I was about to lose control and lunge at him to slap him hard and expose his true nature, a warm, large hand took my icy cold wrist. I instinctively looked up and met a pair of deep, inky eyes. The person in front of me wore a well-fitting suit, had a cold demeanor, but a faint smile curved his lips. "We're getting married." Everyone looked at each other, whispering. They said that the 2 sons of the family must have been secretly dating. Everyone knew that my family's hospital had issues. Marrying me meant they had to solve my family's problems first. Instead of gaining benefits, they would have to fill a hole for my family first. When I was chosen as a marriage alliance partner for the family, no one considered me a rival. Father frowned, but in the end he didn't say anything. After all, it was his son getting married. Not him. But Michael, who was standing nearby, frowned. Big brother, you should check your future wife's health before getting married. Otherwise, you might end up with someone who can't have children and waste your time. You might regret it later. Anger surged in my chest. Just as I was about to explode, Robert's hand slipped, and he took my hand. He said calmly, "It's none of your business who I marry. Little brother, you should worry about your own partner. Besides, I'm marrying this person because I like her, not because I'm interested in her uterus." Michael's face froze. He seemed to be mocked for marrying someone just to have children. Michael's mother smiled, trying to save her son's face. "Robert, your brother is just concerned about you. But since you've both chosen the people you like, and they are willing, let's pick a date for the wedding and settle it." Father didn't speak, tacitly approving of his two sons' choices. Everyone sighed and left, making excuses. My best friend, whom Michael had been gently caring for, snorted coldly at me before leaving. "Big brother, this woman is pretty, but there are plenty of good-looking women. Don't be impulsive and ruin the rest of your life. Before long, you'll realize she's all show and no substance. You'll regret it." When I got home, my parents had already heard the news. Their hearts, which had been tense for months because of the hospital's problems, finally relaxed. "Just let your little brother have one, and you can raise it without suffering. Jenny, I hope you experience everything I did in my past life, and you can still think that way." Jenny was looking forward to a grand wedding in a wealthy family, to make a big splash. But it turned out contrary to her expectations. Michael didn't plan a grand wedding. It was even considered shabby. He just booked a few tables at a hotel for close relatives, arranged some flowers, and hired a host, and that was considered a wedding. Jenny was so angry and aggrieved that she cried. But Michael gently comforted her, saying, "Father doesn't like extravagance. He'll give you compensation after you have a child. A grand banquet." I laughed when I heard that. Jenny's family wasn't even considered part of the A-City elite. Michael chose her as his bride because he was interested in her, who had given birth to 3 medical geniuses in his past life. But he also cared about appearances. He felt he was marrying someone who wasn't a good match in terms of social status. So he naturally didn't want to hold a grand wedding. Did the family lack the money for a wedding? Only Jenny believed his lies. In my past life, I had experienced his sweet talk. At that time, I naively believed that he was truly marrying me because he liked me and would be good to me. But I didn't expect that after only 3 years of not getting pregnant, he would change completely. By the time of my wedding, Robert held the ceremony at the family villa, inviting countless elite families from a city. Robert wore a white tuxedo, and a joyful expression appeared on his indifferent face. He wrapped his arms around my waist, and amidst everyone's cheers, he lifted my veil and tilted his head to kiss my lips. "Happy wedding, wife." My face turned red. My heart pounded faster and faster. Didn't everyone say Robert was aloof and unapproachable? Why did the man in front of me seem different from what others said? I thought back to my past life. He almost never appeared at family dinners with Jenny. His face was also very cold. He studied traditional Chinese medicine all day long. He was either at the hospital or in his private apartment. And Jenny, besides ridiculing me, also kept saying that Robert was like a work robot. After the wedding, Robert took me to live in an apartment outside the family home. I was surprised. Don't I need to live in the old house with my in-laws? In my past life, Michael always lived with his in-laws, saying he wanted to be filial to them and not leave the elderly couple lonely. Robert tugged at his tie. "No need to live with them. How else can we have alone time as a couple?" My face turned red, and I didn't know how to respond. But Robert picked me up and carried me into the bedroom. When I woke up again, I was told by Aunt Carol that he had gone on a business trip to treat a patient. Looking at the messages he sent on my phone, I felt a little lost. People in our circle said Jenny and Michael were true love, a model couple. Michael cared about Jenny's health very much, spending lavishly on supplements for her. To protect Jenny, he would argue with his own mother. He was almost completely obedient to her, and was called a model husband by the media. As for me, the news somehow reached the hospital where I worked. Her husband went on a business trip the day after they got married. Looks like she's just a pawn in a marriage alliance. Maybe Robert has someone he likes outside. Possibly. What's the use of a grand wedding on the surface? These arranged marriages in wealthy families are just for appearances. Everyone lives their own lives. My colleagues at the hospital were whispering behind my back. I don't know who I had offended. The media even exaggerated the story. The eldest son of the family, a family of traditional Chinese medicine practitioners, was forced to marry a wife he didn't like. He hid outside after getting married and didn't want to come home. And these rumors targeting me finally exploded at a family dinner. It had been a year since I last saw her. Jenny didn't seem to be doing as well as others said. She had gained weight. Her eyes were full of fatigue, and she had a few pimples on her face. When she saw me, her eyes flashed with shock and jealousy. Sophia, I didn't expect Big Brother not to be here. And you're actually doing quite well. I curled my lips. I've been on business trips, eating well and sleeping well. So naturally I'm doing well. Jenny pursed her lips. Then she put her arm around Michael and said with a hint of pride, Michael is so good to me. He can't bear to be away on business trips for so long. He also told me not to work so hard and just stay home and enjoy myself. Seeing that I didn't seem to react, Jenny added, Sophia, why don't you quit your job too? Working in a hospital is so hard. Perhaps Big Brother isn't giving you money to spend? I laughed. Do I need to rely on a man to support me? You've always known my family is wealthy. Besides, how do you know my husband didn't give me money? Jenny was speechless. Before she could say anything else, Michael, who was standing nearby, interrupted. You seem to like my older brother who's not home often. My tone was indifferent. Of course I like my husband. As soon as I said that, Michael's face instantly darkened. He snorted coldly. Jenny stood firm. Her eyes darted between me and Michael. She wanted to pull Michael away. Who knew that Michael, who had always been obedient to his wife, would forcefully shake off her hand, causing her to lose her balance and fall? Michael said with a cold face, Sophia Chun, you married my older brother, and you've started looking down on others, huh? Do you really think your marriage alliance is that stable? Big Brother can solve your family's problems, and I can also cause problems for your family again. I smiled half mockingly, not wanting to argue with him anymore. I turned to leave. Who knows what kind of crazy fit Michael had? He actually grabbed my hand. I won't allow you to like anyone else. As I struggled, a cold shout came from the doorway. Let her go. If you dare to lay a hand on your sister-in-law again, move out of the old house yourself. Robert's tone was icy cold. Michael involuntarily let go of my hand. Among the family, besides the authoritative father, the person they feared the most was Robert. His medical talent was extremely high, and he was very hardworking. He had earned the title of medical master early on. Countless people sought him out daily for treatment, which expanded the family's connections greatly, so no one dared to provoke him. Michael, with his mediocre skills, naturally didn't dare either. Only after marrying Robert did I realize why Michael had such a good reputation among outsiders. It was because Michael lived in the old house. In the eyes of outsiders, he and his genius older brother were very close. Those who couldn't get help from Robert would seek out Michael instead. Michael relied on his mother and father's doting on his youngest son to get his older brother, Robert, to treat many chronic illnesses of wealthy and famous people for him. That's how the rumors of Robert being unapproachable and Michael being kind to people spread. Robert held my wrist and looked at it. He said coolly, Michael, you're almost 30. Don't act like a baby who hasn't been weaned yet. Stop clinging to dad all day. Practice your medical skills properly. Don't embarrass the family. Michael's face changed. This meant he was being told to move out of the old house and stop promising patients using Robert's name. Then he would lose both his side income and his connections. Dad agreed to let me live in the old house, so I'll live there as long as he lets me. Big brother, don't meddle. Why don't you see more patients instead? So people won't say you're arrogant because of your medical skills. I smiled. Little brother, your published papers and outpatient visits are less than a third of my husband's. What right do you have to question my husband? If you have the guts, stop taking patients yourself and let my husband treat them instead. Michael's face turned ashen. He gritted his teeth. Do you have a say in this matter? How dare you speak to your sister-in-law like that? Did you ignore my warning just now? Robert said with displeasure. Tonight, I'll talk to Dad. You should become independent. After saying that, he pulled me upstairs. He personally cleaned my wrist and applied medicine. He stared at it for a long time and then said sullenly, the rare patients I've been treating for a year abroad were all found by my little brother. Their conditions were very uncommon, so I couldn't help but go. Don't worry, I won't be away on business trips for so long again. And I won't let anyone in the family bully you. I chuckled. The person who seemed aloof to outsiders is actually its sunder a big dog. Okay, I'll see your performance from now on. Robert curved his lips. He held me and kissed me fiercely. Later, Father really did make Michael move out. The events of that day's banquet also somehow got leaked. People in the circle all found out. The relationship between the two brothers wasn't actually very close. Michael secretly used Robert's reputation to make money from patients. Michael lost most of his connections. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. After spending half a month being lovey-dovey with Robert, we returned to our respective work routines. Jenny suddenly came to my door crying. Sophia, do you like Michael? But you're already married. Why are you ruining his reputation? Just because Michael didn't choose you for the marriage alliance? How have you become so unreasonable? I looked at her strangely. Why have you become so obsessed with love? Did that jerk Michael brainwash you? In my past life, Jenny only cared about her children. I didn't see her heartbroken over the indifferent Robert. I think you're just jealous. Michael truly likes me. Sophia, stop playing games. Jenny said sympathetically. I know you can't have children, so you're unbalanced. I sneered, then you're pretty amazing. You can have children. I don't care who Michael likes. I love Robert. Don't bother me. If you think your husband is so great, then just live your life well. I looked at her gaining weight and said pointedly, if you don't have health problems, stop taking random medicine. Be careful, you might damage your health. Jenny's face changed repeatedly. Unable to argue with me, she stomped her foot and turned to leave. A pair of large hands wrapped around my waist from behind. Warm breath brushed against my ear. So my wife loves me, Robert said with a smile. He leaned his entire body against my back. I was stunned. Seeing that he didn't move, I felt heat rising from my head. You're so heavy. Get off me. Robert sat up, still holding my waist, and pulled me into his arms. Little brother was spoiled by Dad and his mom. I gave him a little lesson a few days ago. He paused and continued. Is something wrong with your body? You look fine. Why did Jenny say you can't have children? My heart tightened. If I couldn't have children, then I wouldn't have to suffer the pain of childbirth. Robert interrupted me. I've checked your pulse. I didn't find anything wrong with your body. But whether you can have children or not, if you're sick, you need to see a doctor. I understood what he meant. He was simply concerned about my health. My heart ached, and I couldn't help but bury my head in his arms. After that day, Robert saw that I was interested in traditional Chinese medicine and took me to read many medical books together. He also discussed a lot of Western surgical techniques with me. We both focused our energy on medicine and work. My reputation as a golden hand grew even larger. Every month, people came from far and wide to seek my help. I don't know if Michael deliberately found rare patients for Robert for a year. Robert's medical skills advanced even faster than in his past life. His traditional Chinese medicine skills became even more refined, surprisingly not inferior to old traditional Chinese medicine doctors who had been practicing for decades. Father praised him indirectly. wanting to hand over the company assets to Robert. Michael panicked. He made Jenny drink countless folk remedies, hoping to give birth to a medical genius son as soon as possible. My best friend was tortured and miserable, but she insisted that Michael loved her, and that she must give him a son. 5 years passed. Besides advancing in our medical skills, Robert and I were also deeply in love. We would argue heatedly over medical disagreements. But in private, he would occasionally surprise me. He said that in work, we were both rivals and friends. But in life, I was just his lover. He gave me enough respect and freedom in my work, and also made me a happy wife in the eyes of others. Perhaps my past life was too painful. Heaven gave me a chance to start over. I decided to discuss having a child with him. Robert actively cooperated with examinations and conditioning his body. In my past life, I couldn't get pregnant for a long time. Michael and his mom put the pressure on me. He believed that as a member of a traditional Chinese medicine family, it was impossible for his body to have problems. He thought my inability to get pregnant was definitely due to my physical condition. I insisted on getting tested with him. The test results showed that my body did have problems, while his showed normal. He accompanied me to several hospitals, and the results were all the same. I was physically and mentally exhausted. I felt I had let him down. I listened carefully to him, conditioned my body, had acupuncture and took medicine, and persevered for 10 years. But when I was kicked out by Michael and left with my daughter, I unexpectedly found his real test results. It turned out that he was the one with the big problem. He had a genetic defect. His sperm were unable to survive. Even if I were lucky enough to get pregnant, the child born would not be healthy. He had deceived me like this for 10 years. Meanwhile, my health had already been regulated. Just wait. Do you think Jenny, with her lucky constitution, can give birth to a healthy child? I sneered. Don't end up disappointed. While Robert and I were preparing for pregnancy, Jenny's body became more and more deformed. She saw the diagnosis sheet I was holding, and a happy smile appeared on her tired face. I knew you still cared about whether you could have children. Ah, you must have had a lot of needles and taken a lot of medicine over the years, right? I suggest if you can't have children, let Big Brother have them with someone else. This way you won't suffer, and you'll still have a baby to hold. I looked her up and down. When she first got married, Michael was very good to her, buying her luxury goods. Now, she was wearing inexpensive clothes, and her bag was several years old. She seemed to notice my gaze, and said hesitantly, "What are you looking at?" Michael said, "Wearing inexpensive clothes is good for your health. It's not irritating." I smiled and said, "Whatever you like. Jenny, if you can't have children, you can be generous and divorce him, and let little brother have children with someone else." After I finished speaking, I turned and left. Jenny behind me was furious, stomping her feet. But not long after, Jenny finally got pregnant. Michael was overjoyed. He took Jenny out shopping again. He promised that if she gave birth to a son, he would give Jenny a villa. Father and Michael's mother also showed their appreciation, giving Jenny a sum of money. They went around telling everyone they were going to have a grandson. Jenny's luck from the past 5 years seemed to turn around, and she was full of confidence. She specifically waited for me after work to tell me the news. "Sophia, the few bucks you make working at the family are nothing. I advise you to quit your job and focus on having a son for Big Brother. Otherwise, just like Michael said, Big Brother might divorce you someday." Jenny swaggered, holding her not yet showing belly. I smiled. "If you give birth to a child who isn't as good as Michael, he will truly divorce you." Several years passed, and Jenny finally saw what Michael was really like. Her face paled. She said sternly, "You're just jealous of me. Even if I give birth to a daughter this time, I can definitely give birth to a son next time. Unlike you, you don't even have the hope of having your own child." "How do you know I don't?" "You believe everything Michael says. Don't be fooled by others, and help them count their money." I sneered. Perhaps once people's personal interests are involved, a rift will form. No matter how good Jenny and I were in the past, with the entanglement of interests in our small families after marriage, We could no longer be close. Michael rushed over. He tenderly cared for Jenny, seemingly becoming the obedient lover he was when we first got married. Jenny nestled into his arms, feeling wronged. She cried and said I was jealous. Michael glared at me angrily. Sophia, even if you're unhappy with me, don't try to hurt Jenny. These past few years he had seen my changes. He seemed convinced that I had also been reborn. My face was calm. I don't care if you two die. Please don't bother me anymore. Okay. Robert came to pick me up from work. He walked over from a distance. Seeing the tense atmosphere, he took my arm first and looked coldly at Jenny. Stop bothering your sister-in-law all the time. Jenny shrank her neck, not daring to speak. Michael's face darkened. Big brother, aren't you going to ask why and just protect Sophia? She's my wife. If I don't protect her, who will I protect? Even if your sister-in-law is wrong, what about it? If you bother her again, you won't work in a city anymore. Robert said as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Now father had almost completely given authority to Robert. He indeed had the power to transfer Michael from a city hospital to another city. Michael swallowed his anger and left. For over half a year everything was calm. Jenny's belly grew bigger, and my child in this life also quietly arrived. This time he appeared with the love of his parents, not as a tool for vying for power and profit. Jenny called after she found out, congratulating me. Sophia, you say you don't care. But you worked pretty hard, huh? You've been through a lot these past few years. But Michael told me that you might not be able to truly recover. Even if you get pregnant, the child is likely to be abnormal. Her voice on the phone was full of sympathy. Michael seemed to be next to her, sarcastically saying, don't worry about sister-in-law. Big brother will love whatever she gives birth to. I think Michael is not normal. Since he was reborn, doesn't he know who is the cause of an unhealthy child? Soon it was the day Jenny gave birth. Michael had arranged a VIP ward early on and had the best obstetrician in the hospital deliver the baby for Jenny. Father specially rushed to the hospital, followed by a large group of family relatives. Everyone was eagerly awaiting father's grandchild. Father was beaming and patted Michael vigorously on the shoulder. Well done. I finally have a grandson to hold. Michael was ecstatic. His hands were trembling. He wanted to take the child, but he suppressed his joy and asked, Is the baby healthy? Has everything been checked? The obstetrician walked out and told the nurse to take the baby for examination. Michael's face stiffened when he heard that. His expression was a little unnatural. Father urged for the examination to be completed so he could hold his grandson. Unexpectedly, the doctor completed the examination and delivered a devastating piece of news. The child was slow to react. The cerebellum was underdeveloped. This meant the child might be intellectually disabled. The joy stopped abruptly. Father's smile froze on his face and slowly disappeared. Michael, however, was stunned. He muttered, Why? I clearly chose a different person. Impossible, he roared, his face contorted with rage. How can the baby not be normal? Did Jenny not prepare her body properly? Or did she not protect the baby? Is that why the baby was born like this? Unfortunately, the doctor shattered his illusion. The child has a genetic defect. You lied to me. Michael screamed hysterically. Jenny didn't protect the child. How can such a disabled child be my son? Throw him out. Send him to an orphanage. Jenny, weak from childbirth, ran out. Michael, you're crazy. He's your son. She stood in front of her son, spreading her arms, not allowing Michael to act violently. How much medicine did I take? How many shots did I get? Only to give birth to him. You were the one who always wanted a son. And now that he's born, you despise him for being slow and want to abandon him. Michael, you're a beast. Jenny was in tears, her eyes filled with hatred. I lowered my gaze, my heart heavy. In my past life, I gave birth to a daughter. Michael didn't even look at her, so he didn't realize she wasn't normal. He only found out when my daughter turned 1. And he also yelled about sending her away, saying he couldn't lose face like that. In the end, father stopped his youngest son's absurd behavior. Michael was dejected for several months. not daring to appear at family dinners, nor going to see his son. He claimed he didn't have such a disabled son. Jenny was still breastfeeding after her confinement period, and he was already thinking about Jenny getting pregnant again. He forced Jenny to get shots and take medicine again, saying that if she got pregnant this time, she would definitely give birth to a healthy son next time. His family members scolded him a few times, but he still went his own way. Jenny also seemed willing to cooperate with him. Soon, I gave birth to a healthy daughter. The moment the doctor said she was healthy, I burst into tears. Robert tenderly wiped away my tears, holding the baby and comforting me. "You worked hard, my love. I will be a good dad." He carefully learned how to hold the baby. He brought his work from the company to the hospital room. These past few years, his focus has been on the company. Sometimes he would see patients with difficult-to-treat conditions. Now he was concentrating on taking care of my health. Childbirth takes a toll on the mother's body. "Having one daughter is enough for us," he said to me in a negotiating tone. My heart warmed. I heard that he was so nervous waiting outside the delivery room, that his legs were weak, and he couldn't walk. Thinking about it, he definitely focused his energy on our daughter in these past few years. I smiled and said, "Okay. Robert, why are you so good to me? I feel like our marriage isn't like a marriage alliance at all. It's like we got married out of love." Robert's ears turned red. He coughed awkwardly. "I've been paying attention to you for a long time. Medicine is not divided into traditional and Western. I think you're very skilled in Western medicine." I secretly chuckled. So he was the one who had a crush on me. Robert and I became doting parents. We were immersed in raising our daughter. But then news about Jenny came. Jenny got pregnant again less than 5 months after her confinement period. Despite all precautions, she still accidentally had a miscarriage. Michael cursed her for being useless, told her to recuperate quickly, and insisted she must give birth to a medical genius son. He didn't care about her health at all. To make sure she focused on getting pregnant, he secretly abandoned their intellectually disabled son at an orphanage. Jenny went crazy with anger. She had a big fight with him at the hospital. In front of medical staff and patients' families, she cursed him for being useless. "Michael, you're the one who's useless. You can't have healthy sons. But you blame everything on me? You coward. You forged my medical records to deceive me into thinking your body was normal, and said I was abnormal. It's clearly you who has a genetic defect, and your sperm are unable to survive. Even if I get pregnant, the child I give birth to will be intellectually disabled. I'm really fed up with you, you lunatic." News of the divorce spread like wildfire. It was posted online and became a trending topic. Father cursed him fiercely, quickly tried to clean up his son's mess, then sided with Jenny, gave her compensation, and let Jenny divorce him and leave with her son. Michael's reputation was ruined. He wanted to remarry, but no one would respond. He found a girlfriend and married her, but almost killed her, and was sued in court. Father was physically and mentally exhausted. Michael's mother instantly aged 10 years. She had always been well maintained, a lady of leisure. She was clearly over a decade younger than father, but now she looked older than him. In the end, Michael didn't go to prison. He was diagnosed with a mental illness and sent to a mental hospital. He kept muttering, "I'm back. I'll definitely give birth to a genius son." Walking out of the courtroom, Jenny stood outside, holding her son. Her eyes were complex, but she walked up to me and whispered, "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have competed with you." I smiled and walked past her. Our friendship had completely disappeared in my past life. How could I care about how you are in this life? You are a stranger to me now. Many years later, my daughter slowly grew up. Her teachers and relatives at home all praised her as a medical genius. As a mother, I knew very well my daughter was indeed smart, but without her parents' patient guidance, she wouldn't have learned so quickly. As the only granddaughter of the family, she was also doted on as she grew up, and